Good morning and warm welcome to you all. A very good morning and warm welcome to you all. I'm Dr. Sharda Kusankar, Senior Scientist from EPG Division. Welcome you all again for the celebration of Bharat Ratna Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's birth anniversary.
Hello, video, audio, play. Hello, no audio. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Ambedkar was a symbol of knowledge. He was having 26 degrees of master's, PhD, DSc, DLET, and many other degrees were there. He did MA in economics, sociology, history, philosophy, anthropology, politics, and some other subjects were there. In 1917, he have been awarded with the PhD degree from the Columbia University, and in 1921, uh, he received the master's degree in from London University. And the title of his thesis was Provincial Decentralization of Imperial Finance in British India. He awarded British at Law degree in 1920 from London School of Law. And after that, he had been visiting to Germany at the University of Bonn for 2 years to study economics in detail. In 1923, again, he have been awarded with the degree of DSc on the research of the problem of rupee, its origin and its solution. And based on this research, the Constitution of Reserve Bank has been amended at India. The degree of LLD has been awarded in 1952 from Columbia University, and degree of DLIT was awarded in 1953 from Osmania University. And in addition to, there were other master's degrees were there. So in all, 26 degrees were awarded to Dr. Ambedkar. He made the record of highest qualification in the world. So he was a legend who represent complete planning commission as a whole. It was his vision on which modern India stands. So Dr. Ambedkar was an economist, he was an educationist, he was a politician, he was a social reformer, and also chaired the Committee of Constitution Assembly. He was the first Minister of Law and Justice. As a chairman of Constitution Drafting Committee, he took meticulous efforts and measures to build the society based on liberty, equity, justice, and fraternity. Dr. Ambedkar was also a voice of depressed class. He contributed to the reduction of working hours to 48 hours a week. He lifted the ban on employment of women in various sectors like mining, and he give the provision for overtime, paid leave, and minimum wages to the employers. He helped to establish the principle of equal pay to equal work, irrespective of the gender, and maternity benefits and share in the property to women. So, on this special occasion, I request our director, sir, to welcome our chief guest by presenting a rose sapling. Thank you, sir. Now I request Patil, sir, to present a rose sampling to our director, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Ambedkar planted as people plant in the Millennium College of Aurangabad University, and that time he has given a message that plant is the best gift for this earth. This shows how he was concerned to the nature. When we look at the contribution of Dr. Ambedkar towards environment, uh, the United Nations has proposed Millennium Development Plan in 2000, in the year 2000, and the target was up to 15 years. By 2015 they have to complete the target, but then anyhow they could not able to complete their target, and again in 2016 United Nations come up with the sustainable development goal, and they proposed the 17 sustainable goals based on the vision provided by Dr. Ambedkar, and they have covered the social, cultural, religious, and environmental security for every human being on this earth. So this feels us very proud that Dr. Ambedkar is is leading the world even after his death. And to give the tribute to Dr. Ambedkar, United Nations celebrated his 125th birth anniversary at their office and consecutive for the next 2 years even. So this is how Dr. Ambedkar's vision is useful for the whole world. And uh, we can see Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts and his interventions on nature, village, land, agriculture, water, community, industry, technology, and science. Even in Indian Constitution, he has given the provision of Article 48A and Article 51A. Under Article 48A, he has given the uh, responsibility to the state, stating that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. Whereas Article 51A suggests that it is the responsibility of every citizen to protect the environment and preserve the natural resources, which includes forests, rivers, lakes, and wildlife. So this proves how Dr. Ambedkar was deeply concerned to the environment, and he was also a good gardener. Uh, and the garden of Rajgir, his residence, was the proof of it that how carefully he has he was working for that garden. So now I would like to invite Director Sir to propose welcome address to the gathering.
सभी को नमस्कार। आज हम यहाँ पे बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की जयंती महोत्सव सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए यहाँ इकट्ठा हुए हैं। इस उपलक्ष्य में नीरी की ओर से मैं आप सभी का यहाँ पे तहे दिल से स्वागत करता हूँ। जो 14 अप्रैल जो डेट है उस दिन डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की जयंती मनाई जाती है। कुछ व्यक्ति तो ऐसे होते हैं कि साल भर भी अगर हम उनकी जयंती मनाए उसमें कोई आस नहीं आती। मतलब इतना काम करके गए हैं कोई व्यक्ति, हर दिन अगर हमें याद करते हैं, हर दिन उनके कार्य को याद करते हैं तो पूरा साल कम पड़ सकता है। तो डॉक्टर आम्बेडकर उन्हीं व्यक्तित्व में से एक थे। जैसे एक व्यक्तित्व को कितने पहलू हो सकते हैं, अनगिनत पहलू इस व्यक्तित्व में थे। एक हिमालय की चोटी जानने के लिए आपको 4-5 साल घूमना पड़ता है। पूरे हिमालय को अगर आपको जानना है तो आपकी जिंदगी निकल जाएगी, हिमालय की सारी चोटियों को आप जान नहीं पाओगे। जैसे डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की उनकी छोटी बहुत लंबी उम्र नहीं थी, जिस उन्होंने जो कार्य करके गया, जितनी चोटियां उन्होंने छू ली है कर्तृत्व की, उनको हमें समझने के लिए शायद ये जिंदगी कम पड़ जाए। और एक एक व्यक्तित्व का एक एक पहलू, एक एक ऊंचाई सबके सामने लाने का ये प्रयास है। एक ऐसा कोई भी विषय नहीं जिसके ऊपर डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने काम न किया हो, और अपने विचार वो भी अच्छे सब दुनिया को मार्गदर्शक ऐसे विचार न रखे हो, ऐसा मेरे हिसाब से कोई विषय मुझे दिखता नहीं है। उनका सामाजिक कार्य कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकर करके जो कार्य तो सभी को मालूम है। उसके अलावा डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने साइंस से लेके इकोनॉमिक्स से लेके वाटर मैनेजमेंट, एनवायरमेंट, सारी चीजों में अपने मौलिक विचार कई साल पहले हमारे सामने छोड़ के गए। अगर उनको हम ठीक से पढ़े और ठीक से अध्ययन करके उनको इम्प्लीमेंट करें तो भी हमारी बहुत सारी समस्याएं सस्टेनेबिलिटी, एनवायरमेंट की निकल जाएंगी। पावर के ऊपर भी विचार है, वाटर मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी विचार है, क्या सारी चीजें। मतलब मैंने पहले ही कहा कि एक ऐसा कोई विषय मुझे नजर नहीं आता जिस पर उन्होंने कुछ काम न किया हो और अपने मौलिक विचार सामने ना रखे हो। और एक व्यक्ति अपने समाज का पहला मैट्रिक होने से लाके वहां से शुरू करके सारी दुनिया में कई कई सारी चीजें पहली बार करने वाला व्यक्ति हो सकता है, इसी में सारी चीजें आ गई। इससे ज्यादा कुछ बोलने की जरूरत नहीं कि इतने सारे लंदन स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स या यूएसए के सबसे बड़े नामी विश्वविद्यालय देखिए और कहीं के भी देखिए, हर जगह आपको बैरिस्टर भी हो चुके हैं, लंदन स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स में भी रह चुके हैं, स्टैनफोर्ड में भी काम कर चुके हैं। ऐसा कोई विश्वविद्यालय जो ख्यातनाम विश्वविद्यालय उस जमाने का या आज का भी ऐसा नहीं होगा जहां डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने शिक्षा न ली और वहां पे मेरिट में या कोई नया रिकॉर्ड करके वहां से पढ़ा। ऐसे महामानव को हम याद करते हैं, विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करते हैं, नमन करते हैं उनको मनपूर्वक। और आज का विषय जो हमने नीरी के हिसाब से सोचा था कि डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने वाटर मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी काफी काम किया है, इसलिए आज के जो चीफ गेस्ट है इस विषय के तज्ञ है या उन्होंने काफी कार्य किया है इस विषय में। और मेरे ख्याल से डॉक्टर बाबा साहब की पूरी जीवनी उनको मालूम है, सारे सारे विषय उनको मालूम है जो डॉक्टर बाबा साहब ने किए हैं। ऐसे तज्ञ व्यक्ति का आज हमारे बीच में मुख्य अतिथि करके भाषण है। मैं ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए आप सभी का फिर से यहाँ पे स्वागत करता हूँ और आशा करता हूँ कि इन विचारों से हम और प्रगल्भ होकर बाहर निकलेंगे। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir, for your earnest guidance. And Dr. Ambedkar was such a person who has given every second of his life for the upgradation of this nation. So when he was Minister of Law, that time he has proposed various projects in the water sector. He constituted a Central Irrigation Commission, and under that he has proposed Hirakunda Dam, Damodar River Valley Project, then Odisha River Project, Bhakra Nangal Dam, Son River Valley Project, river grid system, and under power sector, he has constituted the Central Technical Power Board along with the power grid system. And in economics, based on his research, Reserve Bank of India was established, and he constituted the State of Division Commission and the Provision of Finance Commission. And in case of social sector, he has proposed many acts and rules and regulations. Few of the acts were like right to vote, Indian statistical law, right to guardianship, right to property, right to divorce, pregnancy leave.
Has guided more than 100 MPhil scholars and 50 PhD theses. He has published more than 150 research articles and 15 books during the span of 20 years as a professor and head of Dr. Ambedkar Thoughts and Philosophy, as well as Dr. Ambedkar Chair at Babasaheb Ambedkar National Institute of Social Science, Mau. So, with this brief introduction, I invite Professor Sidinai to share his views on contribution of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar in water resource management in India.
Honorable Director Vaidyaji, Patel Sahab, Mbareji, and the anchor beside me, and you very learned scholars sitting in this auditorium beside me. I give you not less than 131 salutes for the 135th birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I am very proud that Dr. Ambedkar was born in Mahu, where I lived for 24 years as Dean, Professor, HOD, Vice Chancellor, and so on. I carried the message for you from his birthplace, Mahu. Mahu was a place which Dr. Ambedkar never wanted to visit. But Indore was the district place where the Maharaja Holkar was in trouble because he married American lady. There was no lawyer in Indore who can defend the king. He invited Dr. Ambedkar, and Dr. Ambedkar defended him, and he won the case. There was a Shiv temple in Indore for which no Hindu lawyer was available to fight the case. Dr. Ambedkar came all the way from Bombay and defended that case, and that is now in possession of the Hindus. Dr. Ambedkar, as the anchor said and as the director, Honorable Vaidya sir told, was a total personality. He was not a one-sided personality or one-directional personality. He was a total personality. So therefore, what Dr. Ambedkar said, what Dr. Ambedkar did, what Dr. Ambedkar thought was relevant to the world, not only for India. Because he was a property of the universe. He is the property of the world. And therefore, each and every word coming from his mouth has a value which no dollar can have, which no Canadian or American or Singaporean or Malaysian dollar can have, let alone the rupee of India. His DSc thesis was the problem of the rupee, on which the establishment of Reserve Bank of India 1934 is based. His PhD thesis was provincial finance, decentralization of provincial finance in British India, on which Finance Commission is based. And therefore, all his writings, all his speeches, all his activities, they were based on the constructivities for the world. And therefore, the human rights and the constitution and conventions of the human rights are based on the rights, fundamental rights and directive principles of Dr. Ambedkar. So there is no wonder in it. So you speak only of constitution as made by Dr. Ambedkar, but it is not a constitution itself. It's the social document, it's the economic document, it's the religious document, it's the document relating to all the disciplines. And therefore, there is a question before the Indians whether to follow the old customs of our caste, of our dominance of patriarchy, or to follow constitution which gives equality, which gives fraternity, which gives liberty, which gives justice to all, one and all, belonging to all religions, belonging to all languages, belonging to all territories. So therefore, his last book was the Buddha and his Dhamma. In his last book, he mentioned that what is the goal of the humanity in the world. He doesn't speak in terms of any Indian territory or Asian territory. He speaks in terms of humanity only. He was a total personality. He says, what is the goal of humanity? And he says the first goal of the humanity is to cleanse the mind of impurities. And the second goal is to make the world kingdom of righteousness. In other words, to make the world a place of democracy, where all the values of equality, liberty, fraternity, and justice will be established for everyone to live happily. And therefore, I said Dr. Ambedkar was a very total personality. And to develop you into that total personality, you have to develop your nation, your society, your section, your traditions, your values also. Education for him was not only a reading of a book, and it is to expose your hidden personality, which is suppressed, oppressed, and dominated by the external values, useless as they are, for you to make free and be a real human being. So his water policy, his water management was not only for water. His definition of water and ecology and environment is very unique and different. He says ecology and environment is whole, not part. And therefore, whatever is done singularly for water is useless. Whatever is done singularly for ecology is useless. Whatever is done singularly for climate is useless. Because we are the part of nature. But nature is challenged to us when nature goes erratic. We wanted water, there is no water for our field and crops and agriculture. We do not want such a hot climate, but there is hot climate. Though we are a part of the nature, there is challenge of nature before us. So man cannot just sit silently, his hand folded, doing nothing. And therefore, Dr. Ambedkar was a total personality in the sense that he raised that real man. He raised that real human value hidden in man. No great man has done this. But he has a tradition of great men, like the Buddha, the Kabir, Phule, Shau, and Ravidas, Tukaram, and this Saint tradition. They were in the background. So, the man who cannot sacrifice his self cannot become total man, was his philosophy. And woman and man, they are one and only one, without difference. And therefore, whether India or other Asian countries, they have to follow the same principles. You being the students of ecology, you being the students of water management, you being the students of climate, you study that climate only without any reference to other faculties and other dimensions, and therefore you go erratic like nature. So therefore, you have to study the aspect and dimension wholeheartedly within whole, without understanding or taking it as part. Water, water everywhere, but not a single drop to drink. What is the use of water? When not a drop of it you can utilize for your own sake, for quenching your thirst. So there is a need of water management. There is need of production of water. There is need to purify the water. There is need to make water, to distribute water, and to create water in such a way that it will help the humanity to quench its thirst, to help it to develop as humanity on the face of the planet, the face of the earth. Therefore, Dr. Ambedkar doesn't mean a man, a single man or any person. It means the total personality and also working all the time to develop and cultivate man as mankind. And therefore, for him, ecology and this climate condition, environment is whole. And therefore, if climate conditions, ecology are to be utilized, then you have to think in terms of constitution. Constitution gives fundamental rights for what? Fundamental rights to remove the social inequalities. How much social inequalities are there, especially in India? On the one side, there are castles, high towering buildings. And on the other side, there are ghettos, there are huts, there are thatches. And such a contradiction. On the one side, there is plenty of water flowing on the road. All utensils and cars and everything are washed. In Indo, from where I am coming, Mahu also, in British regime, the roads were washed with milk. Such a plenty of milk was produced in Mahu, in Indo. So the public roads were not cleaned by water, they were cleaned by milk. Now you can imagine how much production of milk was there. So people thought that yes, it is better to wash the roads by milk rather than by water. So used milk to wash the roads, public roads. And there were people who could not walk on the public roads because they were unseeable, because they are untouchable, because they are boycotted, excluded people. Now, can you imagine the contradiction in the life? And there were women. They are suffering from the domination of patriarchy. But there were women in Buddha's time. For example, one of the disciples of Buddha was Sariputra. Why he was given such a name and why he accepted it? Sari was the name of his mother and Putra means sons. So one who is the son of a mother is Sariputra. But he never used his father's name. For example, my son may use my name as Chandrasekhar. The son of the director will use name Vaidya. But there in Buddha's time, the sons used their mother's name because the society was matriarchal as far as some sections were concerned. Some sections or Buddhist sections were concerned. Even now in Manipur, Nagaland, and if you go to Sikkim, Assam, the society is matriarchal. Tibetan, the society is matriarchal. So therefore, the names of the daughters and sons have the orientation, mother's orientation. And therefore, that dispensation of society, that equality of society, gender parity in society was inherited by Dr. Ambedkar and passed on through constitution to you. Otherwise, Dr. Ambedkar's fundamental rights was for removal of social equalities, all kinds of social equalities. in terms of gender, in terms of place of birth, in terms of caste, in terms of occupations, in terms of anything, even in terms of name. There was a constitution earlier, was called the ancient constitution. In that constitution, women, all the women, including the women as wives of the higher caste, and other women also, even laborer women, they belong to the same category as the Shudras, lowly caste. And therefore, they can never venture and aspire to become Prime Minister and President of India. But now, because of Dr. Ambedkar's constitution, all these fabrications were demolished. And now women became Prime Minister, women became President, women became Minister, and whatnot. And now you can respectfully come to this NEERI and do research and study the thoughts of Dr. Ambedkar on ecology and water management. Dr. Ambedkar wanted not only to remove social equalities, but he wanted to remove the economic equalities also. For that, he gave the directive principles of state policies. Directive principles of state policies are there to remove the economic equalities. And this water policy is the part of that economic policy to bring parity. His aim was to make democracy not only political, but there should be economic democracy. There should be social democracy. There should be educative democracy. There should be moral democracy. There should be cultural democracy. And therefore, this water management was meant for the development of economy, prosperity of India. Each and everyone in India must get employment, and it should be the duty of the state to provide you with employment. In England, for example, I was there for 8 years. I have done my MPhil from England, also from Lancaster University, which fortunately Dr. Patil did not know, so he didn't mention. So there I saw, if the girl in the family is under 16 years, no parents, her father or mother or brother slap her or kick her or use abusive languages for her. If this happens, then the police will arrest the family members, whosoever is responsible for that. If you abuse it, then you must go to the police station and report there why you have behaved like that with the girl which is below 16 years. And if she is above 16 years, she has no right to live in her parents' house without paying the rent. You must pay rent if you are living with your parents. Otherwise, you tell to the state that you have no house to live. The state will provide you house to live. If you want to continue your studies, the state will provide all scholarship and fellowships and facilities for education. And if you have fulfilled your education, completed your education, the state will tell you, friend or a sister, here is a job for you. Please join it. And you can join it. And if you say that this is not suitable for me, then government will give you the social security, which is more than the salary of the bank manager in India. Can you imagine? Even if you have not paid your electricity bills at home or the water bills at home, no authority is there to cut your electricity or to cut the water. So they must wait, because these are the necessities of life. And one who damages or destroys a cut power supply and water supply, they are known as inhuman, cruel. So in a welfare state, democratic state, republic state, there should be no such persons or sections or power who will do such kind of insult and injustice to the humanity, to the mankind, to the citizens. So the power is in the hands of citizens. Therefore, earlier you didn't have voting power. It was Dr. Ambedkar. And in 1932, 30, 31, 32, he attended the Round Table Conference. And there he said to the Britishers, gentlemen, we in India and you in Britain also and in American women also, they do not have the voting power. To vote, they must have the qualification like education or wealth. Now we are poor country, we are poor people, we don't have qualification also, we don't have so much wealth also, we cannot own any land also, but we want voting power. So he fought like anything for voting power, like water power and electricity power. So we got that power in the Constitution of 1919. Then it was passed on to the Constitution of 1935. Then it passed on to the Constitution of 1950. And in 1950's Constitution, we say, we the people of India resolve to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, and democratic republic. And secularism was added later. So it said, we the people of India. It doesn't say, we the Baniya of India, we the women of India, we the priest of India. It doesn't say like that. It says, we the people of India. We, the word we has the meaning of belongingness. You have the sense of belongingness to the nation. You have the sense of belonging to the industrialization of India. You have the sense of belongingness to the water management of India. You have the sense of belongingness to the constitutional moral values. So, according to Dr. Ambedkar, ecology has two values. Ecology has two dimensions, namely. One dimension is the descriptive value. All the sciences have descriptive value. Descriptive value is nothing but to say how does it describe whether hot, cold, fluid, liquid, or what condition, and in what form. So all external description are done by the descriptive sciences. So science goes to that extent. But Dr. Ambedkar says, to go deeper into the aspect, into the subject, you must have the value, which he called the normative values. Descriptive value cannot convert the existence, the ecology, into the mankind ecology, or the climate into the mankind climate. So Dr. Ambedkar converted the electricity power, industrialization, irrigation, agriculture, and reservoir, canal, dams, everything into the friend of humanity. And therefore, if India is nothing but a humanity, including men and women, children, and all parents, and all people, and all citizens, and all ministers, and all servants, there is no servants, all are servants, and all are masters. Then the humanity of India needs the values of equality, fraternity, liberty. So this liberty, fraternity, and equality are not three, they are only one. If you do not have the liberty regulated, then you will go to the regime of inequality. And if you do not have the equality, then you will go beyond the liberty and you will damage the others, neighbors, and other sections of the society, because your liberty has no regulation. It is not regulated like water. If Godavari is not regulated, if Kaveri is not regulated, Krishna is not regulated, and similarly the Son River in UP and Bihar, Mahanadi in Orissa, they are not regulated, they will flow in floods and that will damage you. And therefore, Dr. Ambedkar suggested, do not go for one use only, just to control the water. You go for multi-purpose use of water. Water is a power. Water is a wealth. And that wealth you must use for many dimensions, for many purposes. Therefore, if water is to be of any good for the humanity, then it must flow in such a way that electricity should be produced. It must irrigate the agriculture. It must develop the infrastructure. It must it must increase the productivity. And therefore, it must give employment. It must give plenty of crops, plenty of food to live, abundant electricity, abundant water is meant for the prosperity of the human being. And therefore, the concept of water management is such management that it should become the whole total goal of the humanity within India, humanity outside India. And therefore, water management is just a kind of constitution, just a kind of industrialization. Without industrialization, you cannot prosper. It means the education, it means the science, it means the well-being and welfare of all. Because Buddha said, be light unto thyself, atta deepo bhava in Pali. And Dr. Ambedkar said, if you cannot live a dignified life, then you are not a perfect human being. You are not a proper man. So your aim should be to lead the dignified life. And therefore your economic conditions, your social conditions, your educational conditions, moral conditions, cultural conditions should be such that you should develop into a total personality. So all these schemes of the government, through all these facilities of the society, through all these provisions of the economy. Therefore, Dr. Suman was there in Ujjain. He was also a vice chancellor. He says, and he directed the human being what to do during the times of emergency. He said in Hindi, "Tufano ki or mod do, navik nij patwa, nij patwa, tufano ki or mod do, navik nij patwa." Hey, sailor, please turn your sail towards the storm, which is a challenge for you. ये असीम निज सीमा जाने. This limitation should be your infinite limit. ये असीम निज सीमा जाने, सागर भी तो ये पहचाने, मिट्टी का पुतले मानव ने कभी न मानी हार, तूफानों की ओर मोड़ दो नाविक निज परवार. So this is the message on this occasion of 131st birth anniversary of Dr. Ambedkar, that do not get frightened by the storm and dangers and calamities in front of you or challenges. You have to drag your boat towards the challenge until you overcome that challenge and until you become the total personality for the benefit of the total mankind. And therefore, according to Dr. Ambedkar, this should be the goal of your education, this should be the aim of your life, and this should be the flowering of your full personality for the welfare, well-being, and benefit of the mankind and humanity in the world. Thank you very much. I think I have crossed my limit by using and consuming all the time. I think thank you very much for listening to me without sleeping in the auditorium. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for a very earnest talk. It was really very informative. And Dr. Ambedkar really gifted a treasury of thoughts and knowledge to this world. He struggled to make a society which will be based on the equality, fraternity, and justice. And those points are the pillars of our constitution. And because of that, our constitution stands to be the one of the best constitution of India. And that constitution has received a lot of awards even. बाबा साहब कहते थे कि आप मुझे मूर्तियों में मत ढूंढो, मैं आपको किताबों में मिलूंगा. उनका पूरा जीवन ही एक ग्रंथ की तरह है. अगर हम उन्होंने लिखी सारी किताबें पढ़ने जाए तो हमारी जिंदगी भी कम पड़ जाए. और जिस तरह बाबा साहब के पास जब उनकी डेथ हुई तब 50,000 किताबें थी उनकी लाइब्रेरी में. एंड अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि बाबा साहब ने जो थॉट्स दिए, हाउ दे आर यूजफुल टू कंटिन्यू आवर कंट्री. The present time we are seeing that there is third world war situation all over the world, but really there is a need to accept all the principles given by the Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. And सर ने बहुत ही खूबसूरत कहा कि अत्ता दीपक भव. This was the last message given by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. With your kind permission, I'll sing 2 lines of this song. अत्ता दीप भव स्वयं दीप हो, अत्ता दीप भव स्वयं दीप हो, दया धर्म शांती चायुगासा पथिक तुझा तोच हो, स्वयं दीप हो, अत्ता दीप भव स्वयं दीप हो. This is the message has given in a very beautiful words. From behalf of CSIR-NEERI, I request our director sir to present the memento to our chief guest. Thank you, sir. Now I request Kumare sir to express the vote of thanks.
मंचासीन महानुभाव और सभी मेरे साथी, पर्टिकुलरली विद्यार्थी, तो सबसे पहले मैं जो आज मैसेज जो दिया है हमारे मुख्य अतिथि ने, वो दिया है, आपने उनके भाषण में सुना होगा, ह्यूमैनिटी का मतलब होता है एक अच्छा इंसान बनना। चाहे आप स्टूडेंट हो, चाहे आप शिक्षक हो, चाहे आप वैज्ञानिक हो, चाहे आप समाज का कौन सा भी सेगमेंट हो, खंड हो, आपको सबसे पहले जरूरी है अच्छा इंसान बनना। जो बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की जो आज हमारी जयंती है, तो उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा मैसेज है कि हर इंसान ने सबसे पहले कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि हर अच्छा इंसान बनना। उन्होंने 2-3 चीजें कही। मैं भी एलएलबी कर चुका हूँ, एलएलएम कर रहा हूँ, तो मुझे भी जो मैं बाबा साहब की जो प्रभाव मेरे ऊपर पड़ा है, वो एक सोशल स्टेटस, सोशल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में सामाजिक हमारा स्थान क्या है, या इकोनॉमिक में हमारा स्थान क्या है, आर्थिक दृष्टि से। तो 2 बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स है, और आप जो भी देखेंगे समाज में हमारे जो भी होता है, तो चाहे जो भी पॉलिसी बने, आप गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की, भारत सरकार की या राज्य सरकार की, तो ये 2 चीज़ों पे बहुत निर्भर करती है, एक इकोनॉमी और एक सोशल स्टेटस। तो मैं सर का बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद। हमारा रिक्वेस्ट उन्होंने सर आपने जो यहाँ पर आए, हमारा जो आमंत्रण है स्वीकार किया, और आपने बहुत अच्छा मैसेज दिया है। तो मैं फिर से दोहराना चाहूँगा स्टूडेंट्स आपके लिए कि आप अच्छा इंसान बने, तभी हम जो आदर्श थे उनके, बाबा साहब के, उसको हम पूरा कर पाएँगे। निदेशक महोदय ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि उनके जो डायमेंशंस थे, उनका जो कार्य था, वो संपूर्ण था, मतलब किसी एक विशेष के लिए नहीं था। उन्होंने जो है हर समाज के हर वर्ग को उन्होंने, जो उनके प्रयास थे, तो उन्होंने हर सेगमेंट को कवर करने की कोशिश की, और हर क्षेत्र में, चाहे विज्ञान हो, साइंस हो, एनवायरनमेंट हो, एग्रीकल्चर हो, डिफेंस हो, हर एक के लिए उनके पास नीति थी, पॉलिसीज़ थी, और उन्होंने एक जो है दुनिया के सामने, विश्व के सामने एक भारत को जो खड़ा करने में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के ज़रिए बोलिए, या फिर जितनी कमिटीज़ बनी है, मॉडर्न एग्रीकल्चर, मॉडर्न साइंस जो भी है, तो बाबा साहब ने, जो हमारे बाबा साहब थे, उन्होंने काफ़ी उसमें प्रयास किए, और आज जिस जो नींव पे जो खड़ी है, तो आज नींव आज भी है, चाहे कोई भी सरकार बने, वो नींव वही रहेगी, क्योंकि उनके जो मुख्य अतिथि ने जो डायरेक्टर प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी कहा, तो उसमें आप देखेंगे कि मैं आपसे आग्रह करूँगा, अनुरोध करूँगा कि डायरेक्टर प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी का आप ज़रूर पढ़िए, उसके एटलीस्ट टाइटल्स पढ़िए, जितने भी सेक्शंस है उसमें 50 टू 53, आपको देखिएगा कि जो सेक्शंस है उसमें वो सारे आज भी रिलेवेंट है, और मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमारे 500 साल बाद भी जो दुनिया रहेगी उसमें वो रिलेवेंट रहेंगे, और न कि इंडिया के लिए, पूरे विश्व के लिए। तो हमारे जो निदेशक महोदय ने जो संदेश दिया कि उनका ब्रॉडर, मतलब एक व्यापक व्यक्तित्व था, और व्यापक तौर पे उन्होंने कार्य किया हर क्षेत्र के लिए। सर, मैं आपका भी बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ। आपका गाइडेंस और जो सपोर्ट हमेशा बना रहता है, उसके लिए आपका धन्यवाद। पाटिल सर को भी मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी तरह से हमारी मुख्य अतिथि को का परिचय दिया आप लोगों को, और मैडम शारदा का भी मैं धन्यवाद, और बाकी सभी मेरे साथी जो नीरी से हैं, और पर्टिकुलरली स्टूडेंट्स, टीचर्स, और इस कार्यक्रम में जितने लोग सहभागी हुए आयोजन में सफल बनाने के लिए, खासकर मेरी पूरी टीम, और जो कमिटी है सदस्य, जो मैं हर एक का नाम नहीं ले सकता, इस कार्यक्रम को जो एक एक दिशा देने में या फिर उनका सहयोग रहा है। जो कमिटी है, हमारी समिति है इसके लिए, इस कार्यक्रम के लिए, तो उनका भी बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद। हरीश कुमार सर है और मैं बाकी लोगों का मैं ज़्यादा बोल नहीं चाहता, डॉक्टर एसके सिंह है, तो लेकिन जो नहीं है यहाँ भी उनका भी मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ। और इसी के साथ मैं यहाँ पे कार्यक्रम की घोषणा करता हूँ और जलपान जो है वो जन गण मन हाँ, सॉरी है, एक लास्ट आइटम है हमारा, राष्ट्रगान के साथ हम कार्यक्रम के समापन की घोषणा करेंगे। तो पहले मैं सभी से अनुरोध करता हूँ कि आप अपनी-अपनी सीट पे खड़े हो जाइए राष्ट्रगान के लिए।
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे आहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
यहाँ पे कार्यक्रम समाप्त होता है और मैं सबसे अनुरोध करता हूँ कि जाते हुए अपने रिफ्रेशमेंट साथ में ले जाएंगे, तो आपको दरवाजे पर ही आपको रिफ्रेशमेंट पैकेट्स दिए जाएंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू वन एंड ऑल, थैंक यू।